Okay, let's start with a wild question. Can a video game, something you play for fun, actually create a better police officer? I know, it sounds like something out of a movie, but a really fascinating new study suggests the answer is a big yes. So today, we're going to break down that research and find out if a virtual world can really prepare officers for the real one.
Well, hello there. All right, first things first, we need to get one thing straight. This isn't really about gaming. We're talking about virtual reality as a serious transformative tool. And honestly, it's already changing the world in some incredible ways.
I mean, just think about it. Right now, surgeons are using VR to practice incredibly complex operations without any risk. Pilots, they're logging thousands of hours in these hyper-realistic flight simulators before they even set foot in an actual cockpit. And soldiers are training for the sheer chaos of combat in virtual environments. In these super high-stakes jobs, VR isn't some far-off future tech. It's here, right now, and it's saving lives.
And that's really the core idea, you know? VR gives you a safe space to practice, to fail, and most importantly, to learn from those failures. It's all about building what you might call mental muscle memory, that ability to instinctively understand a complicated situation and just know the right thing to do when the pressure is on. So with that in mind, let's dive into a real-world test case. This study takes us all the way to Indonesia, where a very elite police unit decided to put this whole theory to the test. And listen, these were not your average officers on the beat. The study focused on Brimob, which is Indonesia's elite Mobile Brigade Corps. These are the specialists they send into the most dangerous situations you can imagine. We're talking counterterrorism, hostage rescues, riot control, places where a single split-second decision can literally be the difference between life and death.
And this wasn't some tiny little pilot program either. A whopping 292 of these elite officers took part, which gives the results of this study some serious weight.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. The researchers had a theory that VR's real power wasn't just about improving an officer's aim or their tactical skills. Nope, the secret ingredient they thought was all in the mind.
They zeroed in on this one concept: contextual awareness. So what on earth is that? Well, think of a star quarterback in the NFL. He's not just staring at one receiver, right? He's seeing the entire field. He's reading the defense. He's anticipating a blitz. That is contextual awareness, that ability to process a chaotic, fast-moving environment and make the absolute best call.
This model right here, this shows their whole theory in a nutshell. The researchers believed that VR doesn't just make an officer's performance better directly. Instead, they thought it works by first boosting their contextual awareness, which then leads to better performance out on the street. It's a two-step process, and awareness is that crucial middle link.
And this really set up the two huge questions for the study. First, is this theory even correct? Can a piece of tech actually train a mental skill like awareness? And second, does that skill really make a difference when it counts?
Okay, so the theory sounds pretty compelling. But, does the evidence actually back it up? Let's take a look at what the hard data from those 292 officers really showed.
All right, don't get intimidated by these diagrams. It's actually really simple. Over on the left, you've got the theory we just talked about. And on the right, that's what happened when they plugged in the data from all 292 officers. See those numbers on the arrows? They just measure how strong the connection is. The higher the number, the stronger the link. That's it.
And the results were, well, they were crystal clear. The theory held up perfectly. The data showed a strong, positive link at every single step of the chain. VR improves awareness, and that improved awareness leads to better performance. And what's more, it turns out VR also has its own direct, positive impact on performance too.
Let's break those numbers down a bit more. As you can see in this chart, the single strongest connection was from VR to contextual awareness. That means VR is incredibly effective at teaching that quarterback vision we were talking about. The other links were strong for sure, but this one was the most powerful effect by a long shot.
But here it is, the most stunning number of all. When you put them together, VR training and the improved awareness that it creates can explain almost 74% of the improvement in an officer's performance. Just let that sink in for a second. That is an absolute game changer, and it proves just how powerful this combination really is.
So we've seen the data, and it's incredibly compelling. But what does all of this actually mean, for the rest of us in the real world? Let's zoom out and explore what this could all lead to.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, for police leaders, the message is loud and clear.
Investing in VR could create smarter, safer, and more effective officers. For all the tech developers out there, this points to a massive opportunity. And for society, for all of us, the potential is huge. Better trained officers can lead to safer communities and stronger public trust.
And you have to remember, even though this study happened in Indonesia, what they found could have an impact everywhere. This is basically a blueprint for how to modernize police training across the globe to better prepare officers for the insane challenges they face every single day.
So, we're left with this final, really exciting question. We've seen what VR can do for surgeons, for pilots, and now for police. It really makes you wonder, what's next? From firefighters running into burning buildings to emergency paramedics on the scene of an accident, what critical, high-stakes profession will be the next one transformed by this amazing technology?